What are some external triggers that you experience that remind you of your deep feeling of optimism, that remind you of your great purpose in life, that remind you that somewhere out there in your future are your biggest dreams and ambitions, that remind you that you are put here for a reason, that you are put here on earth in this reality with your uniquely calibrated sense of self-awareness, that you can look inside your brain and see the ideas that you have, and you can look outside your head and see the opportunities that are all around you and make a plan to move into your future, to make a plan to achieve your ambitions. How do you represent your deepest optimism? Have you begun yet to realize that your optimism is your most important characteristic? That no other personality trait is as powerful as your optimism? Because everybody lives in the same world. Everybody, more or less, has the same instinctive desires programmed into them by evolution. Everybody wants more stuff. Everybody needs to do things to get that stuff. But some people, like you, are massively successful or are destined to become massively successful, while other people spend their entire lives complaining on the sidelines why it's too difficult, why it's not their fault, why they missed the boat, why they were born in the wrong place at the wrong time. But how do you remind yourself? What do you see outside in the world that reminds you of your deep sense of optimism to continuously crash through all those obstacles that keep lesser people stuck? What is it about you that makes you see the bright side of life rather than the dark side of life? What is it about your optimism that keeps you pushing forward on the daily grind closer and closer to your ambitions that themselves may keep going further and further away? One of my favorite stories about unbridled optimism is the California gold rush, when they discovered gold in the dirt in California, and everybody in the world heard about this opportunity. Everybody in the world was fascinated by this opportunity. Everybody wanted to get a piece of this opportunity, and they all had the same thought. If I can get myself to California, if I could find my own piece of dirt and start digging in the dirt and find some gold, I could give the world the finger. I could be my own boss. I wouldn't be beholden to anybody. I could do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, however I wanted, so long as I was willing to live with the repercussions myself. Everybody has that same dream, that same structure, to find that piece of gold in the dirt, metaphorically, and give the world the finger. What are your great dreams? What are your great ambitions that you imagine getting to one day so you can give the world the finger and do what you want, when you want, how you want, so long as you're willing to accept and live with the repercussions? How do you represent that in your mind? What does that picture look like when you have achieved your ambition one day? When you can wake up and say, my life belongs to me. My time belongs to me. My bank account is fat enough, and there's a continuous stream of income flowing into my bank account that is fat enough that I can do whatever I want. How do you represent that? What is that like? How do you get there? I have this friend that works at a startup. He explained to me what they did, but I couldn't understand. It was an SaaS, or a software as a service, SaaS, big S, little a, big S, software as a service, a VC-backed software as a service. And so they make these AI-driven software systems that they sell to businesses so they can use AI to help their businesses do better. And he tried to explain what they did, but I couldn't understand it. But this was one of the rare VC-backed SaaSs that actually worked. worked, that actually hit it big and started to make a huge profit. And so they had this meeting, and the boss talked to his staff, and the boss said, you have a lot of opportunities, or you had a lot of opportunities, and you made the decisions you made because you wanted to be here today. Maybe you didn't know you'd be as successful as you are today, but the reason you are where you are is because of the decisions you made in the past. So I'd like to ask you to think about the decisions you've made in the past. Think about the best decisions you've made in the past. Think about the hardest decisions you've made in the past. The decisions that maybe made you feel kind of lonely because your friends and family would never have made the same decisions that you made. Think about the obstacles that you've crushed through to get to where you are today. Think of all the internal resistance, the external resistance that you had to crush through to get to where you are today. Think of where you are today based on the decisions you've made before. Because the future is going to be the same. There's going to be some hard decisions to make in the future. Some not so easy decisions to make in the future. Some potentially lonely decisions to make in the future. But so long as you continue on the path that you've been on, that you continue to crush obstacles like you have been, the future can be as bright as you want it to.